If you look back on your personal production, sales, et cetera, like, you know, if you had to brag on yourself for a second, like what's some of the success that you had in telesales looking back?
In life insurance?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a pretty cool fact that in my first year, I did about 300,000 in personal production. And, you know, the first 2 months, I was only calling leads that were 6 months to 2 years old.
Wow.
I was literally just trying to figure it out. And I was given a hand-me-down script from the field agents that really did not translate well over the phone. I hadn't even created my own script yet. And then the last 3 months of the year, I really started to take a big step back into less of a sales agent and more of a leadership position. So I really think had I, you know, if I started the year all over, knowing what I know now, I could probably knock out double that.
Wow. So probably about 600K. That's a big number.
I definitely think I could do that.
I believe you. I wouldn't challenge you otherwise. I can tell you that. Right? Hey, welcome back to the CA Power Players Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. I am here hanging out in my studio in Springfield, Missouri. I got a special guest today talking everything telesales. Will possibly be one of, maybe confidently be, our best interviews ever. Please welcome from Thousand Oaks, California, with Tailored Legacy, Dana Nesen. What's up, Dana? How are you?
Hey, Cody. I am good. I am so happy to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited to have you on. I've heard of your name for years. I've been seeing your stuff online. You have a very large telesales operation, putting up a bunch of business. It's so impressive. I get so many questions about telesales and like how to do that, how to operate that. People are always asking how to start call centers, or, you know, people are like, "Ah, you can't sell life insurance over the phone." I'm like, I don't know that I agree with that anymore. You know, what do you think?
You don't agree with that? Oh my goodness. I mean, when I got into this business, there was no way I would even consider field sales.
Yeah.
And that's just coming from someone that has a 20-year background of only doing telesales. So it doesn't really matter what the product is. I'm only doing it over the phone.
I love that. Yeah. And what I meant was I don't agree with the person that says you can't. Right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
Yeah. This does not have to be a debate show. Okay. No, just kidding. I agree with you. I think that it's a phenomenal way to sell over the phone. I think it's awesome. I think it's something that people should be doing a lot more, as we have like some guests walking through our office, waving in the studio as they're walking by. Telesales. Okay. So like you said, you've been doing, you know, you've been doing that forever. How long have you been in insurance?
2.5 years.
Okay. And talk through, like, how did you end up in insurance? What did that look like? You know, like walk through your journey a little bit.
I ended up in insurance simply because in my last career, I was kind of given an ultimatum with the company that I was with. They were actually bought out by a Fortune 500 News Corp, and they took all the top agents and managers that were making a lot of money there, and they said, "Here's your new comp plan. You can either sign it by Friday, or you'll have a farewell package for you on Monday."
Really?
That was after 7 years of being there. So I'm not a job hopper. I don't ever think the grass is greener. Like, I just maximize the opportunity where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I was not willing to take that kind of pay cut for the value that I could provide. So I left, and I literally was starting from scratch. And I came across an advertisement for Final Expense Insurance through like ZipRecruiter or Indeed or just something like that. And that kind of piqued my interest. And that just kind of started my journey into exploring the opportunity for Final Expense. And that was really the only road I ever went down. I never explored anything outside of that.
And were you naturally good at Final Expense Telesales?
I think I was, to a certain extent. I probably say from the get-go, I had about a 20 to 25% conversion rate from the beginning. Slowly got that up to maybe like a 30-ish% conversion rate over the phone. And I'm talking about actual conversations.
Yeah.
That I would convert into a sale. And then at one point I decided to invest very heavily into a formal sales training. And that just propelled my conversion rate. I'm not even kidding, to like 80%.
Woo.
All conversations over 5 minutes, it was ending in a sale. And that's now how I teach my team how to sell. And we're very successful at doing it.
Is that the really the number that you're choosing to track? Is like, okay, if we can get, once we get to 5 minutes, what percent, if the call lasts 5 minutes, what percentage are we closing from there? Is that like a,
yeah, we have a lot of different things we measure.
cool.
We'll look at what's happening in the first 5 minutes to see if people need help in being able to have a conversation and engage the customer to pique their curiosity.
Yes.
But really, if something is going to last more than 5 minutes, then someone's interested. And that's what we really determine as far as your kind of cost per sale and your conversion rate overall.
Yeah. Okay. So you started out and you started making some sales. What did these last, like, you had to summarize these last 2.5 years from like start to finish of like, okay, I'm getting in it, I'm selling, I'm eventually selling a bunch, and then I'm building, and you know what I mean? What does that look like?
It's a freaking roller coaster.
Yeah.
I mean, you really could not describe it anything other than that. And it has been the most fascinating experience. This industry is crazy to me. I think I told you once on a phone call that, I got into it, the industry felt so big, and only being in it for 2.5 years now, it is really small.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody knows everybody. And the more that I'm in it, just the more that I want to help agents become better, stronger, more sophisticated salespeople by having an actual process that they follow. People just don't have a process. They're just lacking.
Yeah. And so how important is that like, do you think that's a big reason why agents fail?
Absolutely.
A lack of process.
I mean, there's definitely multiple reasons why agents fail, but you can have all the opportunity in the world. You can have endless leads and have conversations all day long. You can't just rely on the ones that were already ready to go.
Yeah.
You have to have a process that takes you from start to finish, and it's duplicatable and teachable every single time without failure. I pretty much tell my team that I could stack all of my conversations. If you were to look at my sales recordings and you were to stack them on top of each other, they would be identical. The only thing that changes is the customer's experience.
That's cool for you to hear you say, because most people think that like every call's different and I just ask different stuff and I just like jump on and see how the conversation goes. And I just randomly say stuff for an hour. You know what I mean? Like that's what people
couldn't be more opposite. Could not be more opposite. I mean, the only reason a question should come out of your mouth is because you're trying to get a specific answer from your customer. You're actually controlling the entire conversation from start to finish. Your customer only thinks they're participating in it, but really you're just dictating what answers you want to get in order to know where to go next.
Absolutely. I love that you said that. Yeah. I can tell you are a phenomenal telesales trainer already.
Thank you.
Just from these, and I've heard it for years, but these last few minutes have already proved it, right? Which is awesome. I also know that like y'all don't work with everyone. You turn a lot of people away, we do. And that your system is right for the right people. I respect that. Like I think that's cool, and I think it's important.
We definitely don't just throw agents to the wall to see who sticks and just try to grow like that. Otherwise, you're just going to have a bunch of people that do nothing.
Yeah.
So my process is a little different. When someone wants to contract with us, anybody can get a contract, right? As long as they're in my territory, right?
Right.
Then they have to go through my virtual training that we've created. And then at some point during the training, they actually have to stop and schedule a role play with me. And that role play
with you,
with me.
Are they, what are they thinking? Are they nervous? Are they freaking out?
They're always nervous. And, I tell everyone I don't expect perfection ever. What I do expect is for someone to show up prepared, because everything you need to know to pass the role plays in your training. You show up prepared. You understand kind of what the script is asking for. You understand the quoting system. You understand what the health questions mean, how to quote me correctly, offer me options that are really relevant to my situation, and overcome an objection, right? You got to get me to say yes. And I would say at this point, we're passing about 50%.
And how long is the role play typically?
We have a little chat for about 10 or 15 minutes first, see if there's any questions that need to be answered. And then the rest of it is about 35, 40 minutes. And then I'll give them some feedback at the end.
That's cool.
I'll know right away if someone needs more work or they haven't passed. I'll pretty much have to stop them. I won't let them go through the whole thing.
What will you typically stop them for? Like what'll stand out?
They're just all over the place. They're skipping questions. They're not probing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Why do we do that?
Why do we do what?
It's just skip questions and like, just, you know what I mean? Just jump in situations and just like, just.
I don't know. That's a really great question, Cody. If I had the answer, I would definitely be telling you what that was, but and it's multiple questions. Like, why did you skip that? You know, you have to go back. And if I'm saying that over and over again, that's a really good sign that someone might not be a good fit.
Yeah. Do you look at, like in our office, we really analyze early on initially coachability, attitude, and just doing the job, right? And just getting in the trenches and doing the work. What are you looking for during that first initial live role play? Like they're hired, but you're not letting them on the phones yet, maybe?
They are hired in the fact that they have an agent number through the carrier, through Lincoln, but they are not hired to be on the team. So, and they're aware of that. That's in the training, that it's not a guarantee. I mean, we provide free leads and free transfers, and I need to protect the investment.
Wow.
I need to make sure that their leads are going to be converted. And I also want to make sure it's a good experience for the agent. Yes. And I'll be honest with them. If I think they're not ready, then I'm not going to risk the investment and then risk what I already know is going to happen.
Yeah, that's so freaking incredible. Like you're making sure they're prepared. You're making sure they spend time with you. Like so many people just throw people to the wall, like you said, but also just throw them on the phones and like go sell. And then they don't sell and they're like, they're never going to make it. Freaking, they're terrible. You know, whatever. Like you're taking this like super serious, right?
Super serious.
It's a business.
And I won't take it more serious than they do. And that's my platform. And it's one thing that all the agents on my team know. If I start taking your career and your success more serious than you do, it's not gonna make sense long term.
I can already tell you our audience is going to be jumping in comments like, I freaking love Dana Nesen. You have to have her back. We haven't even finished this episode yet.
I definitely have some haters.
Well, okay. So I mean, okay, that's a good point. So if you think about it, someone would hate you or me or anybody else. Jealousy, right? You're more successful than a bunch of people. Kudos to you. Maybe you kicked them out of role play because they were terrible and they got offended, right? Well, that means they weren't good enough yet, but you're technically, you know, what I love about what you do already is you are doing someone, I believe everyone's doing someone a disservice. If they allow them to just go beat their head against the wall and do the wrong thing, you're actually doing them a service by failing them, you know?
I think that's a really good point. And I've actually never said that to someone that I haven't passed, but I think I might start actually saying that. It's very good insight, Cody.
Dude. That's an honor. Like, hey, Dana's going to use something small nugget from Cody in a future role play. That's cool.
But you know, the training doesn't stop there, right? The training doesn't stop at the role play. I expect that the training continues. And that's why I've pulled myself off the phones completely. It's going to do my team no good if I'm never available for them.
Yeah.
Right. So we have a sales meeting every Monday. We have group training every Wednesday night. And then my calendar is wide open for anyone on my team to schedule 60-minute one-on-ones with me. And we'll listen to your calls. We'll identify maybe some deficits in your sales process, what you're doing or not doing that's causing sales resistance with your customer, where you've created holes that are going to come back and bite you at the end. I mean, I can pretty much identify in the first 8 minutes of a call how to sell someone. And that's really where I'm trying to get my team to be.
That's cool. What do you look for so that you know within 8 to 10 minutes of how you're going to sell someone?
Well, I need to know why they inquired. I need to know if they already have insurance. I need to know if prior to getting on the phone with me today, have they spoken with anyone? And if so, you know, what have they found and why have they not purchased? I want to know what expenses they need to take care of. And even if it's outside of funeral, that information will allow me to make recommendations to them when I get to that point, outside of just my narrow, one product item that I offer.
Yeah.
I need to know who it's for. I need to know if they've thought about what would happen if they decided not to do anything at all. I need to know if there's a plan B, and do they want that plan B to be there, or do they really want the insurance instead? So basically, we need to be on the same page. There can be no guessing when you get to the end, when you're giving quotes. It's not about if, it's about how much.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, you're good. This is phenomenal. This is awesome. You also said one word a bunch already. You've said the word "I expect" a lot. And
Did I? Okay.
Yeah. And I love that, because you are setting the proper expectations with your team. Like, you are letting people know, here's how you work with us. And when you're spending thousands of dollars a month on leads and transfers for your agents, as you said earlier, why wouldn't you?
Right. And ultimately, I can't force anybody to do anything, right? We're all still independent contractors. We're all adults. All I can do is pave the path and give the roadmap for how to have success.
Yes.
But ultimately, I can't force somebody to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're exactly right. You can't. Do you believe that a lot of people fail because they have too many options and they don't have a go-to option for clients, and they think that they just need all these different tools in the tool belt?
Do I think people fail because they have too many options?
Yeah. So a lot of people think, like, I gotta be freaking contract with everybody, and I gotta, you know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at? Like, they just think they need to have all these different options and carriers and products, and, like, you know what I mean?
I think that if I was independent, if I was a broker and I had multiple products and multiple carriers, I would make it a point to understand the ins and outs of every single thing I offer. And my discovery doesn't change, right? I'm still trying to figure out what's important to the customer. And based on what the customer's needs and wants are, will determine what I'm going to recommend to them. So I think ultimately that would make you even stronger if you had the opportunity to sell more than one product. I happen to just really love Final Expense. I have friends and colleagues that are in other companies, at other IMOs, that I actually send referrals to sometimes where I cannot help them. So actually, no, I think that it would probably be even better for people if they had more than one product.
That's an interesting, unique answer. I like it. Yeah. Thank you for that take. And what would you say is, from all the agents you've seen, what's some of the major reasons why they would struggle with telesales in your experience?
Well, am I answering the question for people on my team or just in general?
Just in general.
Okay. Well, lead volume is number one. The reason that I started this team with Adam at Tailored Legacy is because I knew, having a huge background in telesales, that buying 30 to 50 leads a week is a road to failure. Even buying 100 leads a week is not enough. And most agents cannot afford the volume of leads that it requires in order for you to be successful, because we have answer rates. We have bad leads. We have bad phone numbers. There's so many things that are stacked against you when you're talking about a model based on leads, and volume is going to be the most important thing over anything else. So they're not getting enough leads. But so when their upline is saying you're not buying enough leads, you're not having enough conversations, that's true. But it's true to a point, because ultimately, if you have the right sales skills in place, you don't need as many leads to be successful, because you're going to be able to have the skills to engage people into a conversation and to get them to make a decision to say yes and get them out of their own way. But volume is more important than anything, just because you're not going to get a hold of everyone. So you have to play the numbers.
I want to comment on that before we move to other reasons. I could not agree more. That's normally something that does not come up when I ask that question, like, ever. But I think it should come up more. We did the Ultimate Agent here last week, the reality show, and we had 7 contestants. The final 3 sold over. They were between 15 and 22,000 for the 6 days.
That's awesome.
One of them had only been selling 18 months. One had been just started selling like that Monday was his first time selling life insurance over the phone ever.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So like I use an example, and one of them was selling health insurance for a couple of years before that. You know what I mean? So I use it as an example is like, we learned that when you have an abundance of people to talk to, and you're not like, oh crap, I've got these 10, I've got to just squeeze as much as I possibly can out. You end up not getting upset with all these, objections or hangups. You don't hold on to every lead as tight as possible. Like there's just so many things that you don't create bad habits. Like there's just so many things that happen because of a lack of volume, that it can really solve a lot of problems.
Absolutely. It is literally the most important thing if you're going to do telesales. You can never run out of people to call.
Gosh. So good. Okay. What do you think? What do you think one of the other options, leading reasons is?
Well, sales skills is, that's going to be my platform for everything. When you get someone on the phone, you better know what to do. But really, I think that a big thing that I've noticed with agents is their inconsistency, as far as not treating this like a job.
Preach.
You need to show up every day for a consistent amount of hours, and you cannot deviate. If you're sick, fine. If you're on vacation, fine. Like that's all normal human stuff. But I've seen way too many agents show up for a couple days, disappear for a week, and the inconsistency of your effort and your sales process and your time and all of that is ultimately going to contribute to big time failure, especially because if you're not selling enough to overcome the inevitable, which is the chargebacks, you're going to get a low persistency score. The carriers aren't going to be happy with you, and that's going to lead to failure too.
Yes, it will. That's I had a so valuable. I had a manager tell me years ago that I'm trying to remember exactly how he worded it, but pretty much that like the only reason the most successful people in the world got there because they were consistent, they were reliable, they were disciplined, and they just did not deviate for long periods of time. And most people can't comprehend that or do that. Clearly you are that way, or you wouldn't be where you're at.
Without fail. I show up every day without fail. Even when I'm on vacation, I still show up for my team.
Yeah. I actually, here's what I was thinking about. I also had a manager mention like years ago, he's like, dude, you've got a cold or a cough or something. He's like, you'll probably do even better on the phones because people feel sorry for you. I'm like, I don't know, but I like where he's going because he's like, he just wants me to show up anyway,
That's great.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah,
it is. I have a recording in our sales call library of me with the cold, totally congested, and still showed up and got it done.
So awesome. I love it. How important is tonality in telesales?
Well, that should be a very obvious answer. Tonality is everything. I mean, that's part of a sales skill, right?
Yeah.
When I say sales skills, it was going to determine your success. Tonality is just one piece of that. The way that you say something, whether it's with a high tone or a low tone or a curious tone, even the way you emphasize certain words can determine the way that that sentence is received by your customer. Like, even if you just say the word, do you like that? If I were to say, Cody, do you like that? You're going to hear the word you. But what if I said, do you like that? Now you're going to hear like. Or if I said, Cody, do you like that? Now you're looking at the that. So I just said the same sentence 3 different times, emphasizing 3 different words, and you can interpret that 3 different ways. It's very powerful. Tonality and emphasis of words can completely change how your customer is hearing you.
It's so powerful. You've probably got to the point now where a lot of this is scripted, and a lot of your, people are following a lot of the same processes and patterns because you guys have just seen what works over the years.
Well, we have a script.
Yeah.
It's built into our system. It's the foundation for all of our conversations. And then the coaching, we just build upon that script. I coach people how to use it because it's only going to get you so far before you're going to start getting situations that aren't scripted, right? You have to just instinctively know how to listen to someone's answers and think, do I need to understand more about what that person just said? Or do I just say, okay, and move on to the next question? Right? That's where the coaching comes in, because you have to learn how to use the script. That's why I don't give away my script, to be honest, because it's going to do people no good without learning how to use it.
Powerful. What was your, what, if you look back on your personal production, sales, etc., like, if you had to brag on yourself for a second, like, what's some of the success that you had in telesales looking back?
In life insurance?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's a pretty cool fact that in my first year, I did about 300,000 in personal production. And, the first 2 months, I was only calling leads that were 6 months to 2 years old. Wow. I was literally just trying to figure it out. And I was given a hand-me-down script from the field agents that really did not translate well over the phone. I hadn't even created my own script yet. And then the last 3 months of the year, I really started to take a big step back into less of a sales agent and more of a leadership position. So I really think if I started the year all over, knowing what I know now, I could probably knock out double that.
Wow. So probably about 600K. That's a big number.
I definitely think I could do that.
I believe you. I wouldn't challenge you otherwise. I can tell you that. Right? That's cool. I mean, that's I'm thinking about it. Okay. So like, here's how to work age leads, have no clue what you're doing, use a terrible script, and still sell 300 grand.
There's no difference between an age lead, by the way, and a new lead. They're all the same.
I had an agent tell me the same thing last week, because it's funny. She does telesales and she loves them. And then another agent got access to them, and I saw them texting somebody else. Yeah, but these age leads are terrible. But they hadn't even called them yet, And you're right. Like, good agents can talk to people who have just replied a few months ago, whatever, and still find a ton of success.
I think honestly, sometimes, and you've probably heard this before, and I know I've heard you say this before, sometimes aged leads are even better because they're not being hammered by everyone and their mother in that moment.
Yes. 100%. 100%. So yeah, so good. That's we're knocking out a lot of agent limiting beliefs today. You're gonna be like,
good. Yes, they need to get out of their own way and start looking in the mirror.
100%. Yes. If they want to keep learning from you and following you and watching you, what would the best way to do that? And what would you like to send them? What would you like to share?
I would definitely have them start at YouTube, which they can just find me at Final Expense Telesales. I got that. That's the handle for YouTube, as Brilliant. Well as Instagram. But YouTube is where I have more of my long form sales training content. There's over 100 videos on there. And then Instagram, which is the same handle at Final Expense Telesales, is just more short stuff. There are some like sales trainings on there in form of like a carousel. And then I post weekly sales numbers, and just that's more of me. That's more of my personal side.
Yeah. Well, Dana, you are a rock star, phenomenal trainer, and I truly appreciate you spending your time. I've been wanting to interview you for years, so I'm so excited for today. And Thanks. I appreciate you being on the Power Player podcast. What is there anything that we have not mentioned or you would like to close us out with or say before we go?
I wish I had something powerful to share. But if I could leave with one piece of advice for anyone that might be struggling, it would be figure out a way to take charge of your sales process. If you are winging it every time you get on the phone with someone, that should be a red flag. If your sales process isn't surgical, like if you do not have a plan of attack every time you get on the phone and someone says hello, that should be a sign that you need to take control of your sales process. And that by itself will change your life.
Gosh, you said you weren't going to say anything powerful.
Oh, well, there you go.
Your process must be surgical.
Must be surgical.
They're not going in to perform surgery. Like, you know what? Should we cut them here? Nah, I don't know. Maybe we should cut them here. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think? Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly right. And if your sales process isn't that way, then you need to figure out a way to get there.
Boom. I love it. Dana Nesen, Tailored Legacy, Final Expense Telesales on YouTube and IG. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thanks, Cody.
Appreciate you. Thank you for listening to CA Power Player Podcast. Go check out Dana, everything she's doing, and we will see you on the next episode. Adios. Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there. Hey, welcome back. I'm so excited for today's CA Power Player podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. We got a special guest. He is back on the channel talking about how to sell life insurance from home. Here's what I love about this person.